Hi everyone, for today's featured ship we're going to take a look at another sailing vessel. It is the Great Lakes 5-masted schooner David Dows. And much like the Commandy, which I did a video on not that long ago, this ship proved that bigger was not always better. In fact, in this instance, bigger just meant useless. David Dows entered service in April of 1881 and was the largest schooner of its type on the Great Lakes, and also the only one with 5 masts. But on the Great Lakes, David Dows reigned supreme, at least in terms of dimensions. It had a crew of 12, with a donkey engine doing most of the hard labor in terms of raising the sails, moving the spars, and a lot of manual work that would have made the ship uneconomical if it was manned by dozens of crewmen. The ship's large cargo capacity meant that it could accommodate 140,000 bushels of grain, 3,000 tons of coal, and when it was a sailing ship, it carried 70,000 yards of canvas. While all of these statistics may be impressive, the ship was just a terrible sailor. It got involved in 2 collisions during its career, and it was very quickly realized that this ship was better off as a barge, and so its rigging was removed and the ship simply became a floating warehouse to be transported from port to port so that its cargo could be unloaded and then reloaded. And in 1889, as a sailing barge, the David Dows met its end off Chicago and was lost. It's a fine-looking ship. It has an imposing presence, and its figurehead was of a dragon. But it just goes to show that sometimes with maritime technology, size isn't everything. And in the case of the David Dows, it ended up being much more useful as a floating barge, and even then, it still sank. The information that I gathered about this interesting vessel was mostly sourced from this fascinating book, Ships of the Great Lakes, by James P. Barry. It's a wonderful account of many notable vessels throughout the history of the Great Lakes, and highly recommended to check it out. It's wonderfully well written and beautifully illustrated. And if you're interested in learning more about other lesser known ships, please check out my other videos below.